You're doing everything you used to do. So why is it all settling around your middle now? If you're over 50, you already know the exact feeling I'm describing. The same food that was never a problem before, the same portions, the same level of activity, sometimes more effort than you put in 20 years ago. And yet there it is, the softness at the belly that simply wasn't there in your 40s. The waistband that keeps getting tighter, no matter how careful you are. The photo that makes you quietly do a double take. And maybe worst of all, the creeping suspicion that you've somehow let yourself go. That if you just had more willpower, more discipline, it would come off like it used to. I want to take that suspicion away right now, because it isn't true, and believing it is part of the problem. After 50, the rules of your body genuinely changed. This is not a character flaw. It's biology. And once you understand it, everything about the belly fat starts to make sense. Here's what actually happened. Somewhere in your late 40s and 50s, your hormones began to shift. For women, the drop in estrogen through menopause. For men, a slow decline in testosterone. And one of the things those hormones used to do was tell your body where to store fat. As they change, your body starts parking fat in a new place, right at your abdomen, around the organs. That's why it's suddenly the belly, specifically even if your weight hasn't changed that much. At the same time, from around your 30s onward, you've been slowly losing muscle every year. It's called sarcopenia, and almost nobody warns you about it. Muscle is the engine that burns your energy all day long. So as it quietly disappears, your metabolism slows, and the same meals that used to pass right through you now leave a little extra behind. And on top of all that, the stress and the lighter sleep that so often come with this stage of life flood your body with a hormone that, as you'll see, is practically designed to build belly fat. And there's one more thing worth understanding, because it reframes why any of this matters. The belly fat that shows up after 50 often isn't the soft, pinchable kind that sits just under the skin. A lot of it is what's called visceral fat, the deeper fat that wraps around your organs inside the abdomen. And that kind is not just a cosmetic issue. It's metabolically active, meaning it behaves almost like an organ itself, releasing substances that raise inflammation and interfere with your blood sugar and your heart. That's why doctors care about waist size at this age, sometimes more than they care about weight. So when you shrink the belly the gentle way we're about to walk through, you're not chasing a look. You're pulling fat off your organs and directly protecting your health, your energy, and very likely your years ahead. That reframe alone tends to make these habits far easier to keep. So please hear this clearly. You didn't get lazy. You didn't lose your discipline. Your body changed the rules, and nobody handed you the new rulebook. And here's the cruelest part. The old advice, the advice you've probably been trying, makes it worse. Eat drastically less, punish yourself in the gym, run yourself into the ground. After 50, that approach backfires almost every time, because crash dieting burns off the very muscle you can't afford to lose, and brutal exercise spikes stress and hunger in a body that's already struggling with both. You end up more tired, more stressed, and holding on to the fat even harder. This is where Scandinavians quietly do something completely different. The Nordic countries have some of the healthiest, most active older populations on Earth. People in their 60s, 70s, and 80s who stay lean, strong, and mobile. And they do not get there through punishing diets or grueling workouts. They get there through steady, gentle daily habits that work with an aging body instead of fighting it. And that's the whole secret to the belly after 50. You don't attack it, you fix the conditions that created it, and it lets go on its own. Today I'll show you 5 of those habits, real ones with real reasons they work, especially on the belly, especially after 50. And I want to be honest with you from the very start, because that honesty is the whole point of this channel. This isn't about chasing a flat stomach for a photo, and it isn't about a number on a scale. After 50, belly fat is mostly a health story. It's the fat around your organs that affects your heart, your blood sugar, and your energy. So we're going to do this in a way that leaves you feeling stronger, calmer, and more energetic, not smaller and more punished. And please, before any big change to how you eat or move, have a quick word with your doctor, especially if you take medication. But these 5 habits, you can begin gently. Today, 2 of them I'll flag right now, so you watch for them. Number 3 is going to sound like the exact opposite of a diet, and it's the one that finally makes eating feel easy and guilt-free again. And number 5 is the one almost nobody ever talks about, And it may be the real reason the belly fat hasn't budged, no matter how well you've eaten or how much you've walked. Stay with me all the way to that one, because for a lot of people, it's the missing piece. All of this rests on one simple Nordic idea, lagom, which means just enough and not one thing more. And I've gathered the whole philosophy into a short book called Lagom, linked below if you'd like to go deeper. But you don't need it to start any of this. And do stay to the very end, because I'll give you the Nordic After 50 reset. 3 tiny anchors you can drop into one ordinary day tomorrow that put all 5 of these habits into practice without any overwhelm. Let's begin. Number 1. Walk every day, outdoors, and ideally before breakfast. Let's start with the single most powerful and most underrated habit for a leaner body after 50. It isn't running. It isn't an hour of sweating on a machine. It's walking. And I know how unglamorous that sounds, which is exactly why almost everyone overlooks it and reaches for something harder and less sustainable instead. In Norway, there's a word, friluftsliv, open-air living. And it describes a way of life where being outdoors is simply woven into every day, in every season, in almost any weather. Scandinavians walk constantly, to the shops, through the forest on a Sunday, along the water in the evening, to work in the cold and the dark. And many of them, especially as they get older, use a pair of walking poles, what the rest of the world now calls Nordic walking, which was actually invented in Finland. Those poles bring your arms, shoulders, and back into the movement, so you're using far more of your body, and studies on Nordic walking suggest it burns meaningfully more than ordinary walking while feeling no harder. It's the closest thing there is to a full-body workout that a person of any age or fitness level can do. Now here is why walking beats punishing exercise specifically after 50, and the mechanism is real and worth understanding. Your body burns fat most efficiently at a gentle, sustainable, all-day level of movement, not in one brutal, exhausting hour. There's even a name for the fat-burning power of ordinary daily motion. Scientists call it NEAT, the energy you spend on everything that isn't formal exercise. Walking, standing, moving about, taking the stairs. For most people, NEAT burns far more over a week than any workout does, and it's the quiet lever that Scandinavians pull without even thinking about it. And a walk taken first thing in the morning, before you've eaten, is especially effective because your body's quick sugar stores are low overnight, so it turns more readily to your fat stores for fuel. You are, quite literally, walking off the belly while the coffee brews. But the deepest reason walking wins after 50 is that it's kind to you. It doesn't wreck your knees or your back. It doesn't leave you ravenous and reaching for sugar an hour later, the way a hard session often does. It doesn't flood you with stress hormones. It gently preserves the muscle you're trying to keep. It improves the way your body handles blood sugar. And, this is the crucial part, you can actually do it every single day for the rest of your life. And that is everything. Because consistency, not intensity, is what quietly reshapes the middle. Over months and years, a brutal workout plan you abandon after 2 weeks does nothing. A 20-minute walk you genuinely enjoy and take every day changes your body permanently. Picture the older Scandinavian you might see on a gray morning, unhurried, wrapped up warm, poles in hand, out for the same walk she's taken for 40 years. That steady, lifelong rhythm is the whole thing. There's one small upgrade worth adding as you get comfortable, because it directly fights the muscle loss we talked about. Every so often, let your walk get a little harder for short stretches. Take a route with a hill. Pick up the pace until you're slightly out of breath for a minute or two, then ease back. Use the poles and push through them. Carry a small bit of shopping home. These gentle nudges of effort ask a little more of your muscles. And asking your muscles to work is what tells your body to keep them rather than let them waste away. And keeping your muscle is the single best thing you can do for your metabolism after 50. Because muscle is the tissue that quietly burns energy all day long, even while you sit. You don't need weights or a gym for this. A brisk hill and a bag of groceries will do more than most people expect. If you're starting from very little, start absurdly small. 10 minutes after you wake, outdoors if you possibly can, even just around the block. Then let it grow on its own. Because it will. A body that has been walked feels better and wants more. The shift. Stop trying to punish the fat off in bursts. Walk every day, outdoors, and let steady beat brutal. After 50, your body rewards consistency, not suffering, and walking is the one thing gentle enough to do forever. Number 2, is sitting on your plate 3 times a day, and it's the most quietly studied diet you've probably never heard of. Number 2. Eat the Nordic way. Rye, fish, roots, and berries. Forget every fad diet you've ever tried. Scandinavians eat what researchers actually and unglamorously call the Nordic diet. And unlike most food trends, it's been genuinely studied for its effect on weight and metabolic health. And it's beautifully simple. It's built around whole grains like rye, oats, and barley, oily fish, several times a week, salmon, mackerel, herring, root vegetables and cabbage, apples and pears, dark berries, bilberries, lingonberries, black currants, rapeseed oil instead of butter for cooking, and skyr, the thick high-protein Icelandic yogurt. What it contains far less of is the thing that fills most modern kitchens: ultra-processed, packaged, sugary food. Now look closely at what that way of eating does to belly fat after 50 in particular, because each piece is doing a specific job. First, the fiber. Rye bread, oats, vegetables, and berries are extraordinarily high in fiber, and fiber is the most underrated tool for a flatter stomach there is. It keeps you genuinely full for hours, so you naturally stop grazing and snacking without ever once feeling like you're on a diet. It also feeds the healthy bacteria in your gut, and importantly, it slows the release of sugar into your blood. That blood sugar point matters enormously after 50, and here's why. As your body ages, it handles sugar less efficiently. It becomes a little more resistant to insulin, the hormone that manages it. And when your blood sugar spikes and crashes all day on white bread, pastries, and sweet snacks, your body responds by storing fat, and it stores a lot of it right at your waist. A meal of rye, fish, and vegetables does the opposite. It releases its energy slowly and steadily, keeping your blood sugar calm and your body out of fat storage mode. Second, the protein and the omega-3 fats in oily fish do double duty. The protein helps you hold on to the muscle you're naturally losing, which keeps your metabolism alive, and the omega-3s help lower the low-grade inflammation that tends to rise with age and is linked to belly fat. And skyr is almost the perfect food for this stage of life. Very high in protein, filling, low in sugar, wonderful with a handful of berries. Let me make it concrete, because eat the Nordic way can sound abstract until you see a real day. Breakfast might be a bowl of oats or a serving of skyr with a handful of dark berries and a few nuts. High in protein and fiber, and it keeps you full clear through to lunch with no mid-morning crash. Lunch might be dense rye bread topped with mackerel or egg and some crunchy vegetables, the classic open sandwich. Dinner might be a piece of salmon with potatoes and a big pile of roasted root vegetables and cabbage. Snacks, when you want them, are fruit, a little sky or a few nuts. Notice there's nothing exotic or expensive there, and nothing you have to weigh or track. It's just real food, built around fish, whole grains, vegetables, and berries, with the processed and sugary things pushed to the edges instead of the center of the plate. And because all that fiber and protein genuinely fills you, the snacking and grazing that quietly pile fat onto the middle simply stop happening on their own. The thing to understand is that this is not restriction. Nobody eating this way is hungry. It's real, whole, satisfying food that happens to keep you full and keep your body out of the fat-storing state. You don't have to overhaul your whole life at once. Start with a few swaps. Trade the white bread for dense rye, trade the mid-afternoon biscuit for skyr and berries. Put fish on the table 2 or 3 nights a week. Fill more of the plate with vegetables and less with the beige processed things. Each small swap nudges your body a little further out of storage mode. The shift: stop counting calories and start changing what's actually on the plate. Fiber, fish, and real food keep you full and switch off the storage at your middle. No hunger required. Now, number 3. The one I promised, the one that sounds like the very opposite of a diet. Number 3. Eat with legum. Until you're satisfied, never stuffed. Here's the idea that makes everything else sustainable. And it's the word this whole channel is named after. Legum. Just the right amount. Not too much, not too little. Enough. And when it comes to eating, this single Nordic instinct quietly does what 100 diets fail to do. Scandinavians, on the whole, don't eat until they're stuffed, and then sit there feeling heavy and guilty. They eat until they're comfortably satisfied, and then they simply stop. No drama, no punishment. No forcing down the last of it because it's on the plate and it would be a waste not to. And I want you to really sit with why this is the opposite of a diet, because that's precisely why it succeeds after 50 when diets collapse. A diet is restriction, eating less than your body is asking for, white-knuckling through hunger. And restriction almost always ends the same miserable way. You hold on until your willpower runs out, and then you overeat, and then you feel like a failure, and the cycle starts again. Worse, when you drastically undereat, your body fights back by slowing your metabolism and, after 50 especially, burning precious muscle for fuel. Diets don't just fail, they often leave you worse off than before. Lagom isn't restriction, it's attention. The trick is that your stomach takes about 20 minutes to tell your brain it's had enough. So if you eat quickly, distracted, in front of the television, which is how most of us eat now, you blow straight past satisfied and land at stuffed before the signal ever arrives, night after night. And that steady overshoot is a huge part of the belly. The Scandinavian way is to slow down enough to actually hear the signal. Eat without the screen. Put the fork down between bites now and then. Before you reach for a second helping, pause, genuinely pause for a minute, and ask whether you're still hungry or just eating out of habit. Most of the time you'll find you're already content. Stop there, at enough, instead of pushing on to full. Over a single week, that gentle, painless adjustment quietly reduces how much you eat without you ever fighting your own appetite, because you were never depriving yourself. You were just listening to a body that already knows what it needs. And a calm daily enough beats a brutal monthly diet every single time, because you can do it forever, and it never once feels like suffering. This is also the healthiest possible relationship with food. Not rules and guilt, but attention and satisfaction. You are allowed to enjoy your meals, you just stop when your body is content. The shift: stop eating until you're full, and start eating until you're satisfied. Slow down, listen, and stop at enough. That isn't a diet. It's the end of dieting. Those 3 are your foundation. Move gently every day, eat real food, and eat just enough of it. The last 2 are the ones almost everyone skips entirely, and they're the ones quietly doing the heavy lifting behind the scenes. And the first of them feels less like work and more like a reward. Number 4, use heat and cold, the Nordic sauna ritual. In Finland, there are more saunas than there are cars, over 3 million of them. For a country of 5.5 million people, the sauna, very often followed by a plunge into a cold lake, the sea, or even the snow, isn't an occasional luxury there. It's a weekly and sometimes daily ritual woven through ordinary life, across every generation. And it plays a quiet but real role in why Nordic people stay so healthy as they age. Now let me be completely honest with you, because that honesty is exactly what protects you from all the nonsense out there. The sauna does not melt belly fat on its own. Anyone who tells you that you can sweat the fat away in a hot room is selling you a fantasy. What the sauna actually does is support the entire system that keeps your body lean, and that turns out to matter more than any single fat-burning trick. Here's the real mechanism, and it's genuinely impressive. Regular sauna use has some of the strongest research behind it of any lifestyle habit. Long-term Finnish studies have linked frequent sauna sessions to a healthier heart and better circulation. It's also deeply, profoundly relaxing, and that relaxation lowers your stress, which, as you're about to see in the final habit, is directly tied to the fat at your middle. Sauna use in the evening also helps many people sleep more deeply, and deep sleep is one of the most powerful fat-regulating tools you have. Then there's the cold plunge afterward. Brief exposure to cold activates a special tissue called brown fat, which actually burns energy to generate heat. The direct effect on your waistline is modest, so I won't oversell it. But it's real, and it's part of the picture. The honest way to think about the sauna is this: it's not the thing that burns the fat, it's the thing that creates the calm, recovered, well-rested body in which fat can finally let go. A body that is relaxed and recovering holds far less fat at the belly than a body that is stressed and depleted, and you don't need a Finnish lakeside cabin to borrow the principle. A hot bath in the evening followed by 30 seconds of cool water at the end of your shower gives you a gentle version of the same thing. Warmth, relaxation, better sleep, a little cold at the finish. The shift: use heat and cold to recover and calm down. Not as a magic fat burner. A relaxed, well-rested body releases belly fat. A stressed, exhausted one clings to it, so give yours a way to unwind. And now, number 5, the one almost nobody talks about. If you take only one habit from this entire video, I'd quietly urge you to make it this one, because it may be the real reason nothing else has worked. Number 5. Protect your sleep and lower your stress. You can walk every single morning and eat beautifully all day, and still keep the belly fat. And this is the hidden reason why. It comes down to a single hormone, and once you understand it, a great deal of your frustration will finally make sense. When you are chronically stressed or sleeping poorly, your body produces high levels of a hormone called cortisol. And cortisol has one specific, very well documented effect that matters here more than almost anything else. It signals your body to store fat, and it stores that fat preferentially right at your abdomen, deep around your organs. Cortisol is, in a sense, a belly fat hormone. And here's the cruel timing of it. After 50 is exactly when sleep tends to get lighter and more broken, through menopause, through the aches and the night waking, through a mind that won't switch off. And it's often when life stresses pile highest, with work, aging parents, adult children, money. So just when your body is already prone to storing fat at the middle, you flood it with the very hormone that tells it to do exactly that. You have not been failing. Your own hormones have been working against you in the dark, and no amount of salad fixes a cortisol problem. There's a second layer to it too. When you're short on sleep, the hormones that control your hunger go haywire. The one that makes you feel hungry rises, and the one that tells you you're full drops. That's why after a bad night, you crave sugar and carbohydrates and feel hungry all day no matter what you eat. Poor sleep doesn't just store fat directly through cortisol, it also quietly sabotages every good eating intention you have. It's a double blow, aimed straight at your waist. And this is where the entire Scandinavian way of life quietly wins, because it is built, top to bottom, around calm. The early, unhurried evenings, the Norwegians call that cozy wind-down koseleg, dim lamps instead of harsh overhead light, slowness as the night draws in, the protected daily pause the Swedes call fika, where you simply stop and rest without guilt, a culture shaped by lagom, which refuses to overfill a life, and by a deep discouragement of the status chasing and one-upmanship that drives so much modern anxiety. None of these were designed as weight loss tools, and yet together they lower cortisol evening after evening, year after year, and lower cortisol means a body that finally stops hoarding fat at its center. In the Nordic countries, good sleep and a calm nervous system aren't the reward you get after you've sorted your health out. They are among the main tools that keep people healthy in the first place. So protect your sleep as if it were the medicine it actually is. Keep your bedtime and waking time roughly steady even on weekends, because your body craves rhythm. In the hour before bed, dim the lights and put the screens away. Bright light late at night tells your brain it's still daytime and blocks the sleep signal. Keep the bedroom cool and dark. And build a genuine wind down. A warm bath, a few quiet pages of a book, low light, no work, and no news right before sleep. You are not being lazy or self-indulgent by doing this. You are switching off the single hormone that has been building your belly fat while you slept badly. The shift: fix your sleep and lower your stress, and you shut off the hormone that's been storing fat at your belly this entire time. This is the lever almost nobody pulls. So pull it and watch what changes. So there they are, all 5. Walk every day, eat the Nordic way, eat with lagom, use heat and cold to recover, and protect your sleep and your calm. And I want you to notice what is completely absent from that list. No crash diet, no starving yourself, no punishing, joint-wrecking workout, no willpower war you're doomed to lose. Because after 50, those things don't just fail. They actively cost you the muscle and the calm you most need, and they leave the belly fat more stubborn than before. The Scandinavian way is gentler, slower, and kinder to the body you actually have now, and that is the precise reason it works when everything harsher has failed you. You are not trying to force your body into submission. You are giving it back the conditions it needs to let the fat go on its own. And if the idea underneath all 5 of these speaks to you, living in a calmer, simpler, more balanced way, where taking care of your body means listening to it rather than punishing it, that is the whole reason I wrote Lagom. It's a short book, fittingly, about doing less, but exactly enough, and feeling better and lighter for it. It's linked at the top of the description, and if you've watched this far with me, it was written for you. Now, as promised, here's the Nordic After 50 reset. Please do not try to do all 5 of these perfectly starting tomorrow. That would just be another crash program you abandoned by the weekend. And it's the opposite of the whole point. Instead, drop 3 small anchors into one ordinary day and let everything else grow slowly from there. Anchor 1. The morning. Before breakfast, put on your coat and walk for 10 to 20 minutes. Outdoors if you possibly can. That single act gives you your gentle, fat-burning window and your morning daylight at the same time. And the daylight itself will help you sleep better tonight, which feeds Anchor 3. 1 walk, 2 wins. Anchor 2. The plate. At your largest meal of the day, fill half the plate with vegetables, add a palm-sized piece of protein. Fish is close to ideal. Keep the starch modest and whole, like rye or potatoes rather than white bread, and then eat slowly enough, without a screen, that you can genuinely feel the moment you're satisfied. And stop there. That single plate is the Nordic diet and legume working together in one meal. Anchor 3. The night. An hour before bed, dim the lights, put the screens in another room, and let the evening actually wind down. A warm bath, a few pages of something gentle, low light, no work, and no news. That's you switching off the cortisol that's been quietly working against your belly all this time, and setting up the deep sleep that regulates everything else. 1 walk, 1 calm, real plate, 1 quiet evening. That is the entire day. And if you do just that, consistently, you will have done more for the fat at your middle than any crash diet ever could. Because you'll have fixed the actual causes of after 50 belly fat instead of fighting the symptom and blaming yourself. And I would genuinely love to know, which of these 5 surprised you the most? For an enormous number of people, it's number 5, the sleep and stress one, because they've spent years quietly blaming their own willpower when the real culprit was a hormone they'd never even heard about. Tell me the number in the comments below. I read them, and you'll find a lot of people in exactly the same boat as you. And if this gave you a kinder, more hopeful way to think about your body after 50, please share it with one person who's been frustrated with the same stubborn belly and quietly blaming themselves for it. Sometimes just learning that the rules changed, that it was never a failure of willpower, is the whole relief. Take good care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.